Hey people, sail away and maybe we don't sink tonight or any night. Hi, I see people there and people over there, maybe everywhere on the high seas. With you,
Well, you should be seeing people all over the place. I mean, it'd kind of suck if you didn't.
Yeah, it'd be isolation and doom and gloom and just.
We've had enough of that. We've had enough of that. Now we can get into, looking forward to the fact the weather's getting warmer. There's gonna be summertime.
Summertime, the warm weather, the beaches. Hopefully can go to some concerts this year.
Concerts would be nice. Cons would be great. I'd love to go back. I'd love to start going to cons.
I want a Comic-Con, go to the Super Anime Convention, buy a heck of a lot more pops and figurines I don't need, but heck, I'm a big kid, so I need my big kid toys.
Hey, I've been doing the big kid thing too. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing out there in the internet?
Howdy, howdy.
Sakura, Mayflower, Shadster, JCs, all of the wonderful people. How are all of you doing?
How's everybody there in the chats of the chats?
It is Tuesday night.
Did you try again?
No, later.
No, go away, Siri.
Shh. You can stop now.
Quiet on set, people. It's me and Scuba talking. Our turn now.
Oh, good movie reference. As long as there's not the predominant color red everywhere, then you're probably good.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, before we interrupted by the smart devices that talk to you and all those things, it is Tuesday. How is everyone doing?
How are you?
I am good. It is of course Tuesday night, time for our podcast. I is Scuba and The RY. I of course am Scuba or Steve or whatever. Getting used to using my real name on the internet. I'm sure it'll come back and haunt me later.
Coddling.
And of course, my co-host and partner in all things podcasting, Mr. Ry Guy.
Me, right here. It's the Ry Guy. Yeah.
Scott, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Scott.
My Hero Academia.
Which season are you on, May? Are you ready for season 5? Season 5 drops this year, people.
Well, keep in mind that we're seeing the chat, and then about 15-20 seconds later, they're going to hear our response.
Oh, yes.
But that's okay. That's okay. Alrighty, well, we're going to have our fun tonight, as we always do. We got a couple of things we're going to chit-chat about. We're going to talk about some movies. We're going to talk about some new gaming news type things, some gaming bits and bobbles, and some odds and ends.
Oddies and endies, or as big or small as we can.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great show last week, so
yes, great interview.
We're gonna try and get some more get some more interviews going. So we'll see how that. We'll see how that rolls.
Yes.
Couple of quick scheduling comments and notes. Schedule changes for late this weekend. Saturday will not be any D&D game streams over on our Twitch channel because I have a seminar I'm attending Saturday morning, and I imagine I have quite a bit of things I want to try and get ahead on and hit the iron while the iron's hot, so to speak.
Sizzle.
Saturday night, so there'll be no challenge accepted, no Shadow Watch. And then on Sunday, we're actually instead of having Sunday with Scoob, we're going to have Shadow Watch. So Shadow Watch D&D game will be this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Scuba Studio. And then of course next week, Scuba and The RY and hopefully we'll be back on track with schedule next week.
Schedules moving forward.
Yeah, so shout out for Sirenscape, which I will now flip the buttons.
Flip the buttons, my friend.
Flippity buttons.
Make the music ascend.
So yeah, now it's a shout out for Sirenscape, background music and soundboards. We use them to kind of set the ambiance for our podcast and our D&D streams. It's fun, relaxing. Go check out Sirenscape.com for more information and check out their online players so you can connect with your people in your game across distance, or download the player you can use on your devices to play the games if you're back into in-house games. So it's all good.
Play them, people.
Yeah, play the games. Games are always fun. Yep. So yeah, we do this here on here. If you're liking what you're watching, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell notification if you're new to watching this. We'd love to let you know when we put out more videos on this channel. I've got a few that are that are getting worked on. Last couple of weeks have been a little cray cray in terms of, time and getting everything done. Also, if you're liking what you're seeing and you want to support us to let us keep doing what we're doing and maybe take it up a notch or two, best way to do that is head over to patreon.com/scuba studio and consider being a patron. There's some benefits to that. It explains all in the tiers and some perks to go with that. We also have merch. Do you know we have merch? I got a couple of places to get merch. I did set up a Teespring store. Hopefully that is and that you can find cups and masks and shirts, and if there's something more you'd like to see, by all means let me know, and I will see what I can to get some kind of working thing up there for that. I think those are the major things.
Major pinpoints.
Yeah. So it's been a little moving and shaking around here lately in terms of different things.
Yeah, shake and bake, move and make, get it all.
Move and make. Thank you out there to the community for your loyalty and hanging out with us. Thank you to the moderators in the chat. Without you, I'd probably go completely insane instead of only partially insane, which I'm sure is debatable on which day of the week and which time of day.
Pick a time, pick a day, pick the weather. It is what it is.
Well, miss, you are slow. Huh.
Slowing down, my friends.
Bang, merch should be working. So many times already. It's season 1. See, I haven't gotten into My Hero Academia. I really haven't. It's just not been something that's been appealing to me to watch.
Jump scares. Well, that's not really a horror show, but I guess it happens. You shouldn't be jumping too much after season 1, then.
I mean,
yeah.
How long's My Hero Academia been going on now?
It's been going on a while. It's about to hit its 5th season. The manga is way in like volume 100 plus. So
holy
200 plus, yeah.
That is ridiculous.
It's a pretty thick story. There's a lot of sagas they have to get through.
That is wild and crazy.
So, yeah, this next season they're going to have Class 1A versus Class 1B. They have these, like, trials that they have in between the major events. So,
okay.
It'll be, because, these are kids training to be heroes, so you're watching them as they go through the progression of high school of being a hero, so... It is good and gravy. It is another series to add to my deck of all the other anime series that I'm watching. So,
well, nice know you have plenty to pick from.
Oh yeah, I have a lot in my wheelhouse, which I've been trying to work my way through. Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, World Trigger, and The Promised Neverland, and another one that started back up. One of my favorites, Log Horizon. That's 5 anime right there, and then add in My Hero. That'll be 6, but some of them will be done before that one, so just slot them in.
That's good. Since I'm here live on that, I've just got to make a comment in the Discord. We do have a Discord. We're trying to do some work on that, make it some more viewer interaction. I gotta drop a message in my mod chat to a couple of my peeps who can hit something up for me on the back end.
Drop it like it's hot.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
May says, surprised you haven't gone insane because of me yet. No, never because of you, May.
We love May.
May, you make the day great. The night great. That's part of being a superhero. It jumped down to attack. He's got to protect the people. All Might is the #1 hero at the point of the anime that you're in. But you'll find out later what happens. But Log, Promise, and Attack. I know the Promise is getting a lot of flack of what they've excluded, but I've enjoyed it. I've actually enjoyed this latest season of Attack. It's really, I think, the best since the first season. And Log Horizon, it's a lot of more drama heavy right now because of everything that's happened in the past 2 seasons.
What you talking about, Willis?
Scott dropped a chat about the latest animes. He says they're not, good. I disagree with him on Attack. The other ones, I'll stay the lane with him. But
Oh,
I actually think season 4 is the best since season 1. So, but opinions vary.
put it on that big virtual list of things I'll get to at some point.
Some point. All right, got the board over here. It's listed and volumed and categorized for you, Scuba.
Yeah, it's so big I don't even have a physical board anymore. It's
No,
completely
you got a
digital.
paper over there with what you have to watch.
Well, that's because Penumbra is like insanely organized when it comes to comics and anime.
Yes, he is.
Because he gave me a list of for Gundam, because we're working on Gundam on Thursday nights. He gave me a list in order for watch order.
There's a lot of Gundam out there, people.
So all the crazy things. But yeah, note to the moderators in there who can access the stream elements on the back end.
Make it happen.
Yeah, well, I think I know why one command didn't work and all that, because stream elements is kind of funny if you're ever thinking of using it, in the sense that if you have multiple channels like I do.
Yeah.
I've got a Twitch, I've got a YouTube, I've got a Facebook. I've never really used the Facebook. Maybe I can do something for Facebook. Anyways, they don't cross. Like if you set up stream elements for your Twitch channel, any like the custom chat commands you do can't be used on other channels. You have to reset them up for each channel. So when we're working on this switch from Twitch to YouTube, I had to recreate a lot of the overlays and chat commands. And I believe a couple of the commands did not get migrated over in the custom command section.
Yeah.
But there's a timer command that does operate from somewhat. So there's some things, but that's why I have have such a wonderful mod team to help me kind of find those things so I can get them fixed in a timely-ish manner. But I digress. But yeah, so I covered the scheduling stuff, did the shout out for the sponsors. The most important shout out is to the community. Let's roll into what we're up to, what we've been doing.
What's been happening in the worlds of
A whole lot of craziness as always. I mean, I had a great week. I mean, the weather was absolutely great last week.
Fantastic. I hit the park and ran my butt off.
I twisted my ankle or rolled my ankle the weekend prior, so I didn't get to be out as much, but I'm better now, so those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
Lots of fun.
You went out and hit the park. Did you do anything else fun?
Last week I'll do a quick recap from the past weekend to the current weekend. The past weekend they had an Oyster Fest at our favorite brewery, or my favorite brewery.
Oh yeah, I saw some of the pictures on the
Book of Face.
The Book of Face.
Yes. So it took my parents out there, oyster roast, great time, lots of drinks, fun times. Moving through the week, it was my amazing girlfriend's birthday, so we celebrated her birthday last week.
Happy birthday!
Got her an amazing gift, and then we went out to a couple places. Guangdong Taste, which is a great Chinese restaurant in Virginia Beach. Check it out if you ever come through. And we hit up a milkshake place called The Yard. And that shake was beyond heavenly. I have a picture on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you want to check it out.
You took a picture of a milkshake?
If you look at the picture on the Instagram, you'll see how amazing it is, and it's worth the picture. So...
Okay, I won't judge. I thought we had moved past the let's take a photo of our food and post it on social media.
No.
Because obviously we want to share what we're eating.
I will share it if it's that amazing.
Okay.
And then this past weekend, we surprised my friend Sean by celebrating his birthday at the Naro Theater. So his girlfriend Faith planned a surprise birthday. So what she did, she rented out the Naro Theater. Because of capacity, we could only have 10 people there, and we surprised him by watching his favorite movie in the theater with him, Leon the Professional, which is a great 90s action film. It's pretty much the pre-John Wick before John Wick.
And that was one of our first exposures to Natalie Portman.
Oh yes, a very young Natalie Portman. And I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I forgot how amazingly crazy that movie is, but also emotional at times. But
yes,
great movie. If you've never watched it, check it out. And then just work, training, school, projects and papers. That's about it. And staying on running. That's about it.
Oh, that's good. I was doing quite a bit of cleaning. Like I said, I've been a lot of things pulling my attention. This past, for the most part, was fairly quiet. Saturday was one way. It was supposed to go one way, and it went a different way, which is cool because we adjust. Great session Saturday night. Great session Sunday morning. Had friends come over and did our first attempt at playing the Star Wars RPG from Fantasy Flight. And yeah, that was something. That was something. The mechanics on that are really kind of involved. And as I was telling him, I'm one of those people, I do really well listening to a conversation. And can and seeing it kind of laid out in it's very kind of in that fashion. Just reading the rules in the book because sometimes the context just doesn't work right unless you're doing it. And we had a hell of a time trying to get. It took us 2 hours to get through a single round of combat, and it was the last 2 hours of the session because the first 2 hours was yet more character adjustment and then getting set up to play. So. Thankfully, Sunday was Pie Day, so great pizza special. And we did that. It wasn't bad. And then yesterday, took my daughter to go watch Raya and the Last Dragon.
That was that the first time she's been at the theater since everything went down?
Yes. It was her first theater experience, and it was actually we went out to the local cinema cafe that's nearby. And of course, great food, great time, nice and chill.
Raya and the Last Dragon, Scott.
Raya and the Last Dragon, which we're going to talk about. May as well do it right now. Why not?
Why not? Make a segue into... Dun, da, da. I also put a link of the yard menu into the chat, so if you want to moisten your lips, there you go.
Alrighty, so let's talk about Raya and the Last Dragon. This is the latest Disney film that was released. This one was released on both Disney Plus Premium. So if you had an extra $30 to spend, you could buy their premium and have access to the movie until they decide to run it through the normal process of film release, which isn't bad. Monday is my daughter's asynchronous day. So figured, we'll go out, we'll catch like the noon showing. It's not going to be that interruptive to the regular day. And I can get outside because I want to get out more now that I'm feeling more comfortable getting out.
Yeah.
So we went and checked this out. I was actually quite happy with this film. I feel it's a definite spin on the classic Hero's Tale Disney format.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way to go, because if you look at a lot of the Disney properties, virtually all of them are the hero's journey. Very little deviation from that. But this one is really nice because it takes the hero's journey and goes, well, in most Disney films, so you have your Disney princess or your hero who's overly trusting and really kind of innocent and whatnot, and they spend the entire film finding their inner strength so that they can combat the big bad. This one says, we're going to start off with her being a strong, badass individual, and her whole make her have to deal with trauma and coping with trauma. So it's almost like the exact reverse of every other Disney movie that's out, every other Disney hero journey out there.
Yes, sir.
So, Ry, what about you? What's your take on this film? You're the more seasoned reviewer. I'm just the rank amateur who hopefully looks good talking about it.
Well, you made some good points, but I'm going to rewind a little bit to give some background on Raya. Like Scuba said, it is available on Disney Premium Access, but it is also in theaters. So me and Scuba did the smart thing and went to theaters and saved some money. But if you can't, it's still good on Disney Plus. So Raya and the Last Dragon is a Disney animated film, and it focuses on the title character of Raya, and she lives in this world known as Kamandra, which through some evil entries and some backstory has been divided into 5 nations, and it focuses on quite a few years after that event, and it focuses on Raya. And through some circumstances with her father wants to bring the kingdom back together. And through some interesting circumstances, that doesn't happen. And now Raya's on this quest to fulfill her father's journey, but also bring back all the people that this evil beings known as the Droon have wreaked havoc on the land. And to do that, she's got to find pieces of this gem and the last dragon at the same time to be able to make these evil spirits go away. On the surface, this is follows a very traditional Disney formula: world building, exposition, prologue, roll call of characters, initial conflict, and tragic motivational scenes that lead to the inquisitive journey. But like Scuba says, it does not take that typical twist of the hero's tale, and has a very strong character in Raya, not just one that is a typical trope of a princess or a heroine that you would find in typical fairy tales, but one that is infused with strong characteristics, individualism, and the fact of this whole world is being based on Eastern Asian culture, which helps brings the color and the life to the world, especially as she journeys through all the different lands. And when she travels through all the different lands, she interacts with different characters, as well as the last dragon known as Sisu, who is voiced by Aquafina. And all the voice acting of all the characters are great. They bring a very strong individualistic characteristics to the characters and the journey, and the hero's journey of itself. The thematic overtures add depth to the Asian culture, and it also lifts that very simplistic traditional Disney formula to something that is energetic, pure, and just immersive. Because the one thing that is very strong in this movie, and I think Scuba would point out, is the world building, the colorful animations, and the action sequences. Because the action sequences highlights various different martial arts techniques, but it allows the action to speak for itself. This movie is very fast paced, so it moves at a very fast paced beat, moving from different places to places where she gets the gem, and eventually she reaches the last nation known as Fang. And what I like about the last act is that it breathes tragedy and hope within a various spectrum of all, and it does a lot of different twists to the happily ever after trope, that it pushes the ideal predictability of how everything wraps up into a very humane, poignant moment. So overall, a very great experience, very wonderful journey, great world building, and great characters and culture influences. Anything else want to add, Scuba?
I think this is great. Yes, it has I really appreciate you. We're diving into other cultures and whatnot. But the thing is, the movie stands really well on its own as in terms of the world building.
Yeah.
The world building on this is amazing in the sense that you kind of have a vibe that it's it's an alternate reality type. You know, it's an alternate reality type thing. It's its own little pocket area with all of these influences. But I think honestly, I don't think I've seen a film property do so well with their world building that since Avatar: The Last Airbender on Nickelodeon. Because that again also takes in a lot of that Asian influence on the culture, and it kind of makes it, and the world building feels very organic and real. With this one, again, it feels very organic. It isn't it isn't feel like it's an alternate timeline or like a traditional grim fairy tale type of setting.
Yeah.
This feels very much on its own. I mean, her mode of transportation, her weapon. I mean, it's very much, and the thing I love the most about this is the fact that the biggest villain in the film is not the one you see. It's having to deal with the trauma that she has.
It's not Namari. It's the tragedy. That's the one thing that, like, all the characters have a very motivational tragic past that brings them all together, and even if they play upon the tropes of the typical fairy tale, it isn't what it seems, and it's a mirror of their own selves and their own kind of prideful ways that leads to a lot of the evil and ramification of why the Droon are existing.
But overall, I'm solid. It's a solid 4 out of 5 for me. Ryan, what about you?
Same, solid 4 out of 5. It builds upon that formula and creates its own unique organic world with all the different colors, characters, and world building. Not disappointing here, so check it out.
Yeah, totally go check this out. This is just a great ride. My daughter really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So I thought it was great. So yeah, as for our second film tonight, The Long Weekend, or A Long Weekend, or just Long Weekend. I mean, this one, not really sure on this one. Haven't had a chance to check it out. I did see it is in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a streaming component. But Rye, what's your take on this one? Tell me about Long Weekend and convince me if I should try and watch this when it comes out.
Should you or should you not try watching it? Long Weekend. Long Weekend is a very tried and true formula of love. So when you look at this film, the first question that comes up is, what is it that makes love love? So this film focuses on two characters, Wit, played by Jess Jacobs, and Vienna, played by Zoe Chow. And through circumstances and chance, they run into each other in LA. Wit is a struggling writer, and he is trying to get his feet back into the world. He's had some mental issues and whatnot, and just so happens to meet this woman with a very kind of mysterious, ominous past. She has come to LA for unknown reasons you don't know, and through them, it pretty much, the film just focuses on their like just unique building of a relationship, and just the organic nature of just running into a stranger and just somehow just, you know, kindling some kind of connection. Through that chance encounter, they strike up conversations that just very grounded, down to earth, very humanly invoked sequences that are very emotional and honest reflection of when you're just in just a rock in a hard place, and then you meet somebody else that kind of is in that same place. You just start to connect, and you don't know why or what. And that very simplistic guy meets girl formula in flawed archetypes makes the first half film feel very genuine, very unique, and very, you know, even if it's very predictable to the romance genre, it's just the unique situation of them meeting and just watching them through this, you know, through series of nights, just kind of like feel great in gravity to the human condition of what love is. But then there's a twist that happens. And in that twist, Wit is forcing her hand to find out the truth of the tale. Why is she here? Why doesn't she want to tell too much of herself to him?
Well, don't spoil it for us.
No, I won't. But when revelations happen, that predictability of the two lovers, which was actually making the film great and endearing, it reminds me of Before Sunset, or Before Sunrise, or even Silver Linings Playbook. It's, you know, it has a very fateful kind of guy meets girl through circumstances, but this twist kind of convolutes the message and turns it into a clash of plot holes and very overtly dramatic sequences, and you start to ask more questions than actually focusing on the couple's journey and why this fateful encounter is going to have to end at some point. And once it reaches its final act, that enveloping melodrama, it forces the hand of the script, and it kind of lends itself to why you don't need to add twists just to add twists. And because of that, it levels out the script from being just a very simple romantic tale that could have been enjoyable to just being very terrible derivative with the potential and the initial simple love of these characters by the end. It's a very contrived climax that creates even more questions than answers, and it just kind of drives me crazy when movies do this, where they just end just to end. They have to find a way to end.
Is this one of those situations where it's like, you know, you had one job when it came to doing this film, just one, and you totally blew it?
Not to the extent that you hate it, but to the part where you just feel disappointed.
You know, I have to say, that's almost feeling worse. I mean, it's easier to like watch a movie and it gets to be like to that point, it's so bad, you're like, I just hate this. This one is like, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, and this actually forced me to look at other reviews, because it was actually, I'm on the opposite end of a lot of the reviewers, but the people that are reviewing it are ignoring the facts of just basic script writing.
That's a key thing that we always hit on. It's like, you have to have good script, you have to have good actors, you have to have a good director. If you don't have one of those three, or if one of those three are subpar, instead of having an equilateral triangle of success, you get some isosceles obtuse, just train wreck.
Yep. And it's not a train wreck, because they managed to keep that connection there throughout, even through the terrible second half. But overall, it is a hodgepodge of great potential ending in unwelcome ending because of a twist.
Gotcha.
So,
in the end, what are you calling it?
If this is how I'm just gonna read my last sentence from my review. If you can look past certain twists, this can be an enjoyable night at home. 2.5 out of 5. Friday night rental. Yeah. What's really me, even my girlfriend jumped in there. She said she never watched the trailer, just decided to watch this. Yeah, we decided just to watch it, and I was enjoying it up until that twist. And then after that, I just kind of was like, it ruined it for me. So.
Yeah, well, if you want to find out more of these reviews and the other reviews that Ry's watching, check out ryreviews.com. I put there's a link in the chat right now. Blech. Words and things, you know?
Words and things.
Words and things.
Raya was great. Amazing fun times. But that's all I have on the movie sphere. Nothing on the TV sphere. Working through a couple series, but not quite there yet.
It's okay. You don't have to. Now we can get into State of Game.
State of Game.
State of Game, when we talk about various games we were playing and what we are playing them on, and some other different gaming things going on. Trying to change things up, do some more things. We got some video game stuff. I unfortunately don't have any video game commentary in terms of games I'm playing and stories I'm exploring through games over the last couple of weeks. Been a little busy. But do have some stuff, and then for D&D stuff's actually going to try something new, and we'll get into a little bit more about that as we get closer to that. But first, let's talk about video games. And Ry, what is the latest in Ry's video game world?
Latest in my world with games. Well, I've beat Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man Miles Morales, so I've been kind of just left to the wasteland of finding another game to sneak in. I was thinking about trying Horizon, but I went and was playing a lot of Torchlight 3, but there is good night, Sakura.
Good night, Sakura. Sleep well, enjoy work tomorrow, and we'll see you on the web.
Later, Sakura. But I decided, heck with it, let me go jump in a game I haven't touched in a long time, and go back to my old school PC roots. I used to play a MMORPG way back in the day, which I've met amazing friends and still friends to this day, and that game would be Lord of the Rings Online. So I decided to jump in, and I felt like that Pirates of the Caribbean meme where you jump in a game and you seem lost because you can't remember anything or what the heck you were doing. And I haven't played this game in years.
Yeah.
I was just kind of logging in my account to see if my character was still there, and everything is still there.
Oh, almost everything.
Yeah.
You did say
Almost.
one. You did say one thing was gone.
Oh, my house is gone. In Lord of the Rings, they do have these things called homesteads, and you can purchase this house and decorate it and add stuff and whatever. If you don't maintain it, because you actually have to pay rent in it. So
so you're telling me you're telling me in this fantasy world setting,
yeah,
video game, you had a homestead and you didn't pay your rent, so the game repossessed your house?
yep. And what they do is they put all your stuff in escrow, so you'll be able to access everything through a vault of inventory. But that's all hearsay. But
I'm just picturing this comment. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have this video game. I got this homestead. This is awesome, and I'm gonna have to decorate it. Well, I'm gonna put this down. 5 years later, come back. Where's my homestead? Little digital note plotted in the ground says, you didn't pay your rent. Developers repossessed.
Yes, it's been repossessed. But yep, I dropped in, and it took me a while. Took me a few deaths and aggroing 20 bad guys on accident.
Another great Pirates of the Caribbean meme, the one where he's running across the beach with the whole army chasing him.
What's funny is I literally was running across Rohan away from these orcs, trying to get away from him because my bear aggroed 20 of them at once. So yeah. So after that, I figured out how my skills were set, how my weapons were set, and started working through the quest. Right now I am in Rohan. So I'm working towards, if you don't know Lord of the Rings Online, it follows the books, not the movies, the books. So right now I'm in the part where I'm heading to Helm's Deep. So you know what happens in the Two Towers is the Battle of Helm's Deep. So that's where I'm leading into. So I did sub for 3 months. So I'm going to try to finish the books.
I got a bunch of friends who dived back into Star Wars Old Republic. And I haven't gotten there yet myself.
I wonder if my account still works too.
I'm sure mine is still good too there. It's just, I remember when we were rocking that game on the tech floor.
Yes.
Because, we were such a great team. We had all the issues handled and time to kill. So we were all like LAN partying up the Star Wars Old Republic when it launched. Great game.
Great game. But yeah, I wonder if my account still works. But yep, I jumped into Lord of the Rings, and it actually, I think being away for so long and jumping in after so long, it was like a breath of fresh air, and I played it almost forever and forgot, hey, I got work in the morning. So it was really cool just to fall back into the world, because the thing is that the world in Lord of the Rings Online is so vast and immersive, and since I haven't been in so long, I didn't realize how much of the map they filled in.
Oh, yeah.
They have filled in everything to the point of now they're moving beyond the books and starting to expand into other parts of the world that isn't explored in the books. So not only...
If you have the loyalty there, the game will continue to go.
Oh, yeah. And it has...
The only thing that'll probably kill that game is if the original developer shuts the servers off because they went bankrupt and
It's moved hands quite a bit. It's not in the original developer's hands anymore, but it is interesting to see where this game is going to go, because they are going to drop another expansion this year on it.
You were telling me, how many expansions have come out since you played last?
Since I played last, I had the original game. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 expansions that I picked up, and since then there have been 3 major updates and 3 major expansions.
It's impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, the major expansions were Mordor and Minas Morgul, and the one they're calling the War of Three Peaks, which focuses on the lineage of Thorin and those dwarves when it has to do with the mountains, Misty Mountains, and a lot of the other stuff. So they are venturing out into new lands, new ideas. So
well, that is cool.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't have much for anything before I do that. Anything else video game wise, or that's been kind of your jam right now?
That's it. And other than trying to cop one of the new systems, which I fail every single time, that's it.
Yeah, I got my Series S in, and I got to tell you, I was surprised how small that console is.
That is pretty small as I look at it.
It's like half the size of the Xbox One. No stupid power brick. I mean, you think about it. When you can plug in some of the old, when you plug in all the Xbox consoles up to this point, you got the console, you got the wires, and then you got a short wire, and then this giant power brick
Yeah.
that you got that is just so, like, where am I going to put this?
Yeah.
And then you get it put somewhere, and then you kind of, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that one fits nicely in your spot too.
yeah, it does. It's really nice. It's a lot of air circulation, so that's great. So I'm good with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk. Well, speaking of Xbox, it's a good segue. Let's talk about some Xbox news that came out. And for those of you who've been following, know that Microsoft purchased the parent company of Bethesda, so also purchasing Bethesda Studios.
Yes.
And last week they announced that the deal had been more or less finalized, and Microsoft and Xbox had said, "Hey, we're going to take a bunch of these Bethesda games and put them on our Game Pass platform." Not familiar with Game Pass? It's a subscription-based system. Microsoft has, you pay $15 a month, and you get access to a library of games that you can download and play as long as it's for free, as long as you're paying that subscription. And they have plenty of games to pick from.
Yep. And they rotate them in and out too.
Yeah, every few months they're rotating out, but there's no less than 100 titles to play with. Well, last week they dropped the entire Doom franchise, the Dishonored franchise, the Wolfenstein franchise, the Fallout franchise, and the Elder Scrolls franchise on Game Pass. And that is a lot of games. I mean, we're talking, that's an easy 20 games they dropped. Because you have Dishonored, Dishonored 2, you have Doom 64, Doom 3, Doom Eternal. You got the Morrowind. What were there's Skyrim, Morrowind, and what was the other? Oblivion.
Oblivion and online.
And on and online. You've got the Wolfenstein. You got Wolfenstein New Order, Wolfenstein Old Blood, Wolfenstein
Youngblood.
I mean, it's wild.
You got a ton of Fallout. You got Prey, Rage 2, just to name. Evil Within. That's one game I have not gone back to because it scares the heck out of me. I just like the fact that they dropped all the Doom, and I might download it just to play it again because I love Morrowind. When I played it,
I actually haven't played Morrowind or Oblivion. I've only done the Skyrim, and I found this YouTube channel that has like these 10-hour ambient tracks of Skyrim stuff, and been playing the last couple of days so I could focus on work. And it's like, and I was like, I want to go back and play Skyrim now. I miss that world.
Oh yeah,
it's one of the first game I dropped over 100 hours.
Yeah, Skyrim was an amazing game to play. If I can, yeah, I don't think I could. Well, I don't know, but Morrowind, I loved Morrowind. I might go back and play that.
Totally gonna check those out. But yeah, that's some interesting developments on the Xbox stuff. So plenty of things on console wise. I was lucky to actually grab an S, and then setting up. My wife has been playing Dishonored, and she absolutely loves it.
Dishonored is a great game. I mean, it's got some interesting mechanics, but it's a great game.
Yeah, she's absolutely loving Dishonored right now. Yeah. She was playing some Torchlight too. She's rocking the Torchlight pretty solid.
Torchlight 2?
Torchlight 3.
Oh, Torchlight 3. Yeah, well, we need to figure out a way to team up and get in that. Cause,
yeah, we can figure that out. We can figure that out. That'd be great.
Yeah, we just gotta pick a night. Torchlight 3, like, I can be feeling sad, and all I have to do is play Torchlight, and I'm happy. There's just something about that game where I could just run around just murdering a bunch of goblins for hours just for fun. And the loot. That's what I love about the Torchlight game. Even in 3, the loot is insane. It's still crazy how much stuff drops and how much variety of stuff drops.
Yeah, now soon your inventory fills up and you got to stand there because you got to send your pet back to town to sell all the excess crap.
Oh yeah, it's all good
That's
because
all. Yeah, it's a great game. I'm absolutely enjoying it when I do play it. Still working on Horizon Zero Dawn, so I'm gonna be messing with that a bit more, and then trying to rotate some Xbox in when I don't have time because I have writing projects right now,
writing.
and
I
I
have
have
writing projects.
yeah, and then it's like I gotta get the writing projects done. There's some people waiting for some writing projects to get done, so I'm gonna be messing with that.
There you go.
But speaking of writing and moving into the D&D stuff, here's something different I want to try and do, and that is try to talk some more current stuff, theory craft things, impression stuff on some D&D things. Now, there's some new Unearthed Arcana that recently dropped
Ooh.
with some new races from the Feywild. And the latest one that I got a notification on was for the Owl Folk and the Rabbit Folk, that are new playable races for Dungeons and Dragons through the Unearthed Arcana, which is their playtest material.
Yeah.
Wanted to chit chat a little bit about those, and I got the new Candlekeep Mysteries book released today. So I have my physical. I picked up my physical book. I have my digital book, and I wanted to kind of offer some first impressions. A couple weeks ago, with some of the changes in the way my office area looks, studio area, whatever you call it, somebody had made the comment that it kind of looks like a doctor's office, and of course I hammed it up and be like, yeah, you're game doctor. But it sparked an idea. What if I could do some more of these kind of little chats about a mechanic, an element, something to do with that, to offer some opinion and some advice? Again, just some opinion and my advice from my experience, and see if that would be interesting. I put the question out to the Discord in our subscriber chat, tagging our patron supporters to offer me some suggestions and ideas, and kind of going from there. Fairies and Fey Hobgoblins also released. Apparently, I was skimming over the Hobgoblins. They're pretty beast. I mean, they have an ability where they can help each other as a bonus action, or if you're using them as a playable character, you can use the help as a bonus, and when you do, it can have one of 3 different effects. The one that seems really kind of ridiculous is if I help you in a combat and you hit the creature you're attacking, that creature now has disadvantage on its next attack rolls against either you or the person or me, because I gave you the help action. That is pretty wild in terms of a mechanical standpoint. But yeah, let's talk about these owl. Looking over at the Owl Folk, starting off, they seem very kind of meh. I mean, I'm reading this and I'm kind of agreeing with a couple of thoughts here. They're very meh to me.
The link in the chat if anybody wants to look at it.
D&D Beyond, Unearthed Arcana, check it out. But they don't. I mean, it does. It's like you can fly, but you don't have to worry about some of the restrictions because of armor with flying. But there are spell. I mean, it does not feel very kind of unique in the sense. I think it needs. I agree. I agree, and I think that it needs some more to make it really kind of stand out. Probably the best part about this would just be an era of consistency depending on your campaign you're setting in. Like a great example is like the fact you have owl bears, you have Ariel, who's the antagonist in the Rime of the Frost Maiden book. She has this owl type avatar. So having the owl folk is in kind of, that's a segment of your campaign, is really kind of cool to kind of tie bits together. But it doesn't really strike me as all that different, other than here's a different flavor of Aarakocra, only this one doesn't have to worry about what armor it wears. It can still fly. So, but yeah, I mean, it's very. I'll run through this in case you're not aware. You're a medium-sized creature. You have a walking speed 30 feet. Yeah, you can have dark vision up to 90 feet. That's kind of cool. Most of your stock races give you 60 feet. Magic sight. See, this is the one that just seems kind of weird. Your keen senses can focus and see presence of magic. You gain the ability to cast detect magic as a ritual, and that seems like a waste way too much time when you have other things that let you cast detect magic more quickly. But redeeming factor here, you can choose your modifier from either intelligence, wisdom, or charisma for your spell casting. Most of them are kind of, depending on what class, fixes you to one or the other. This one lets you kind of pick and choose which one you want to go with. And you cast a spell normally with any spell slots, kind of deal. Nimble flight, seems kind of cool. You have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. When you fall, you can use a reaction, which is a dex save throw, to stop falling and fly in place and drift out. And silent feathers, you have proficiency in your stealth skill. Yeah, very owl thing to do, but not really. Kind of, this feels more like, hey, this is a nice way to look. Doesn't really offer much in that.
Yeah, it sounds more cosmetic to anything.
Yeah, it feels very cosmetic. Now, the rabbit folk, on the other hand,
talk about the rabbits.
That one looks like it's good. It could be a lot of fun. I've already got an image in my mind of rabbit folk monks in Kofin somewhere. In some kind of grasslands type area. But yeah, let's take a look at some of this stuff. You get baseline or stereotypical line. You get like a +2. You get a +2 to one skill, or a +1 to, or a couple of different to 3 different score. You get a +1 to one score and a +2 to a different, or a +1 to 3 different skills. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Good variety.
But of course, Tasha's allows you to mix and match different things with there. So that's kind of, of course, the creature type, you're considered humanoid. You're medium or small. A little more flexibility on that. But this is the thing. You have you have an ability called Hair Trigger. Yes. Hair Trigger gives you the ability to add your proficiency bonus to your initiative roll. Normally, initiative is determined by your dexterity bonus. And then with some additional things, whether it's a feat or whatnot, they add to your initiative. This one is like, oh, well, proficiencies are typically like a +2 or a +3 when you get to higher levels. You can add that plus your dex modifier to your initiative roll. So it's like, okay, that could be fun. And then to get advantage on it later, if you have the ability to let you do that, I'm thinking a rabbit folk monk or a rabbit folk rogue, really kind of tempting to me on this. Because, that sneak attack, if you're the first one out the gate, kind of deal. Leporine senses gives you proficiency in the perception skill, so that is nice. You can focus on your proficiency somewhere else, or see if you can talk with your dungeon master about letting them stack to where you get expert in your perception.
That does help out.
That seems pretty cool. Lucky footwork. When you fail a dex saving throw, you can use your reaction to add a D4 to the roll to possibly make it a success. That's kind of cool.
That's a good nifty skill to have.
I'm liking the potential there. I could see that, where it's like, oh, you trip and fall, roll your dex save. Oh, it's not high enough. Wait, I used my reaction.
It's a gadoosh.
So that's nice, especially if you're in those situations where you missed it by 1, or you missed it by 2, and you get that. That's really kind of funny. And then this last one, I think, is room for debate and discussion. Once during each of your turns, you can walk at least, once during each of your turns, when you walk at least 5 feet, you can hop. Roll a d12 and move that many feet in the direction of your choice but it doesn't take away from your from your total distance you can walk. This seems kind of cool. If your movement, because I know players that would ask this. If my movement is 30 feet, does that mean every 5 feet I can roll a d12 and potentially hop up to 12 feet ahead? So 5 goes into 30 6 times. Can I roll a d12 6 times through the course of my movement and potentially move an additional 60 plus feet on top of my 30?
Sounds like it. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, you know, you can rapid movement with that kind of skill.
Yeah, you could really cross some distance. Or it's literally, okay, once per movement. As in, that's it. You use that D12 once every 30 feet. So I could see some people wanting to try and argue both ways, some that. But one of the other ones is most people who use like a grid system, the grids are 5 feet. So if you're rolling a D12 and you get less than 5, does that mean you don't move an additional square? Or, I mean,
I think it would have to, you know, be organic in whenever or wherever you're playing.
well, it's, as one person had pointed out in the discussion, was, you know, not everyone uses a grid system. It's not required. It's optional. So, again, that's probably what happens because, you know, the first rules is DM has discretion on how to rule certain things. So it's a conversation with your dungeon master when you do this. But I'm liking this one because I could see, again, I'm thinking like a monk or a rogue, rabbit folk could be really kind of interesting build.
Interesting. Yeah, Scott says.
Yeah, once per turn, but I know people.
People. We're talking about people
who would want to argue trying to get that, because if I moved 5 feet and then I moved another and then I moved another, or, you know, trying to thinking about it, it's like, you know, hop, not hop, walk, or walk, hop, walk. I could see some people wanting to get into that kind of minutia of, wait a minute, logically that doesn't make sense. It's like it's a game, it's fantasy. You have to at some point you have to leave logic at the door.
You got to, especially, you know, dealing with fantasy
and physics. You have to leave it at the door because, hey, magic.
Yeah. Oh, make believe.
But yeah, that's the latest. Some of the latest things out of the Unearthed Arcana, which is playtest material. So if you're gonna set up if you're gonna do this in D&D Beyond and set these characters up, make sure you save them and make copies, because as they tweak and refine this, they will pull out the previous versions. And if you change away from it on a character build, you won't be able to reclaim it if they've deprecated that older stuff. But again, I'm looking forward to seeing how some of this goes. Yes, they did include fairies as a playable race, which is, I guess, if you're into having fairies as characters, that's cool. And then there's the Hobgoblin, which seems like he's really kind of OP in this new kind of revamp. So those are those things. And then last thing I got is Candlekeep Mysteries came out. So got my book right over here.
Get the book.
Of course, I go with the alternative covers whenever I get books now. And loving this. Absolutely loving this. It's a collection of stories. There are 1, 2, 3, 6, 17 different stories that you can work through for levels 1 through 16. And they're all written by various writers in the community, and they're really, really kind of cool. The whole premise is you're going to go to this massive library called Candlekeep to do research, or have to do research to solve the puzzle of the book. Some of these, it's like you open the book, you get sucked into the book. Some of them, they add different lore elements. I think one of my favorite first ones right off the bat is for level 1 characters, The Joy of Extra Dimensional Spaces. Then there's one I was really kind of curious, The Book of the Raven, which has some interesting lore for the Vistani if you're into the Curse of Strahd stuff, and expands on some of the Vistani elements because you're having to deal with this book. But all of these adventures all have to deal with a book in the library and doing library research and all of those things, and it's designed where you can take bits and pieces out of it and move it into your own adventures. I'm looking forward to incorporating some of this into my games in the near or distant future, depending on how the story flows. But if you haven't checked it out, it is out. And if you want to get the alternative cover, go to your local game shop to ask for those and support your local game shop.
Support it, people. Keep the games alive.
Yeah, you got to, man. Got to. But my first impressions, I was skimming through the book earlier. I really kind of got sucked into some of the various adventures. I think they're great.
Yes, lots to build upon with new stories and new ideas.
Alrighty. Oh, we're moving quite right along. I guess we're into our last bit, which is odds and ends.
Oddies and endies.
I don't have any pictures for odds and ends this time, but I do have an admin change to the way we do odds and ends.
The change has come, my people.
And this is for normally the way we do odds and ends is Ry will scour the internet or look at his inbox, and he will post messages to me in a Facebook group that we have. Well, Facebook being Facebook decided to make changes.
Yes.
And then it was like, well, let's encourage some more community interaction. So what we did is I had a channel in our Discord for all of the story. Tried it a couple times for the stories that didn't make the cut, and figured let's revamp this. So for the last week or so, Ry has been posting in the stories he finds into a channel in our Discord called Odds and Ends. The goal is, and I meant to talk about this last week and I didn't, and because I got caught up in the conversation with Jason, which is okay.
Yeah.
The way this works is from Wednesday until Monday, when Ry posts articles in, the community can hit emojis on their reactions to it. And the stories that have a high emoji count of likes and impressions, we will then talk about on the podcast episode. And if you are a Patreon member who is on the studio guest tier and up, you can post article suggestions for the rest of the community to vote on for us to talk about on the show. So that has been updated. I put a notice out through Patreon to let the patrons know, hey, this is a thing. Again, trying to encourage some more community interaction and see what kind of crazy random internet stories you find, because that's what Odds and Ends is about. It's a collection of stories that we find on the internet and give our impressions and opinions. Just a quick kind of time for some news. So we got a couple we're going to talk about. And that is both of them having to do with the Oscars coming out, because we had the Grammys, we had the Golden Globes, and now the next one is the Oscars.
Yeah.
And our first story for the Oscars is Academy Award 2021. In a year of streaming, the Oscars should go with the flow. This is an interesting piece because it talks about how, because of COVID, there hasn't really been a lot of push for the movie theaters. And we've seen over the last several years, the award show viewership has really been in decline.
Yeah.
And so it's like this past year, the awards, which has snuffed streaming services, has decided to open up their rules so that streaming movies that are released on streaming platforms could be considered for Oscars. And this year did not disappoint, because in another story we have A couple of the ones that are like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon, they've got some major category nominations.
Oh yes, they do.
Right? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that this is just a reflection of the times, not the fact. I meant, COVID played into a lot of it because the theaters were shut down for a good chunk of 2020, and a lot of studios pulled their films from theater release, pushed them to this year, or some of them pushed them to streaming. And with that little change in nuggets, it was already building toward that because films that were on streaming were starting to get highlights from prior years. But it wasn't until this year where they opened up the floodgates and it actually showcased that that movies are more than just in the theaters. Like with the growth of streaming, with the investment that the big three have been investing in, like Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon, they invest a lot of money into their original content, and it's highlighted in the nominations this year, especially because pretty much close to, I could guess, 70-80% of them are between the big streaming services. Like Netflix has garnered the best of all the streaming services with 35 nominations across the major categories. With, like you mentioned, one of the big hitters is Best Picture, and they got two of their originals on there, The Trial of Chicago 7 and Mank. Not to mention, Amazon and Disney Plus and all of them, and it's showcasing this is allowing not only the Academy becoming aware that, okay, yeah, we were forced to open up the floodgates, but it's showcasing the variety that is there. Because if you look at all the stuff on the awards across the board, you see that the streaming services are open to more creative, intuitive storytelling, more risk taking with story and the characters, but also it's going to allow not only a niche group of people that have seen the movies, but a more far reach of people will be like, okay, I know all these movies that are being nominated, all these actors, actresses, and everything, because I've seen them. And I think
that is something kind of funny with the previous time. Is like some of these nominees are like, what film was that?
Oh, yeah. A lot of the times it's been like that, but slowly it's been moving away because, streaming movies have been hitting the screen. But now when you look at the list, people are not going to be looking at it with that raised eyebrows, like, I never heard of that movie. And like, oh yeah, that was on Netflix, I remember that, or, something like that. So it might also be one of those things where they're trying to get their feet back in the door in the good graces of the majority of the audiences to be like, hey, we are putting stuff on our list that you have watched, we are listening. And also based on a lot of the changes that they made, you can see that the reflection in the nominations that they are reaching beyond just whatever the niche was for so many years.
And there's another part of this article which talks about how just the idea of award shows in their sense has really kind of dropped off the interest.
Yes, it has dropped off.
I mean, the Golden Globes was good, but the Grammys apparently was a complete disaster in terms of like the social distancing stuff and everything, because of everything that's gone on. And now with the Oscars, it's like part of it is like, this is supposed to be kind of a media outlet. I mean, this is like you're gonna watch to see which of these stars go home with the gold.
Yeah.
And people are just less and less interested, and there seems to be some bad optics associated with it. I mean, and the fact that it's like even ABC and the Academy themselves are they really going to be resigned to the fact, look, this is going to be dismal numbers of viewership?
Yeah, they have been dwindling numbers, but hopefully just the way that they've seen the current award shows on how they've tried to do everything. Maybe with opening up to the streaming services and adapting to the viewership, they'll be able to hear and listen and make it lively enough to where people would appreciate what's being shown, being nominated.
But yeah, I mean, there's that. It's interesting debate on award shows in general, because I remember when it was such a big deal to watch them, And over the last few years, it's like, meh, we'll kind of move on and move on from that. But since we are talking about it, let's talk about some of the nominees list did get released. And streaming services have been nailing it. Mank, which was a kind of a biopic piece on somebody who helped write Citizen Kane, that walked away with 10 nominations.
Some big nominations. Yeah, it added they were best picture, best picture, best director, original score, some of the acting nods. It's a major hitter, but also a lot of the nominations. There's a lot of firsts across the board in a lot of the categories, especially in the directing category, in the actor category.
Yeah, there's a lot more women directors been nominated. There's
two women directors nominated for best director, which
there are a lot more. A lot of the lack of a better phrase, is a lot of the stereotype of who you think is going to be in these nominations. That's getting blown out of the water. There's a lot more people in there, and I have to say that like Chadwick Boseman is getting a humorous nomination for actor.
Yeah, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
For Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Viola Davis got a nomination for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Yeah. But Ma Rainey's didn't make the Best Picture list.
No.
There are some other ones where it's like, this didn't make it, but the people who were in the film are nominated in these other categories. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, it showcases strength in different categories. How some, you might think certain might be snubbed, but at the same time, when people say that things are being snubbed or should have been there, what about the ones that are there? And have you seen their performances, seen the movie, experienced the cinematography and the directing and all the different stuff? But I love the variety, and I love that you get to see nominations of people and movies that you've seen, which is like when you look at the Best Picture category, a lot of these movies have accessibility. People can actually watch all these movies in some fashion or form, most of them on streaming. So like the big for the Best Picture, we have The Father, Judah and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7. And all of those you can access through streaming.
Right now.
Yeah, all of them, except for, well, I can't say except for one, but haven't found it. But yeah, all of them you can access through streaming.
Which is pretty cool.
So.
But yeah, that wraps up our show for tonight, ladies and germs. Thank you very everyone for hanging out with us and checking us out. Again, running through the doobly-doo things to do. Make sure if you enjoyed this, hit that like, the subscribe, and the bell notification. And please leave a comment below on what some of your favorite parts of the show was. What are some comments on the reviews we've done, or some of the other things we've talked about. We'd love to hear it and see what we can do to keep this train moving. Thank you to the community and the moderators. You guys are awesome and amazing. The moderators especially. Really appreciate all the work you guys do every time we try and do these things. A shout out to Sirenscape for the background music and soundboards that we were listening to. Go to sirenscape.com to check all that out. If you've enjoyed the content and want to support the studio to kind of keep us making things and doing the things, best place to do that is go over to patreon.com/scuba studio. And consider being a patron there. Help some feedback in the comments. And don't forget, we do have our Discord, so please feel free to join our Discord to check out that. Links are all in the doobly-doos down below. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Again, reminder, no D&D games on Saturday this week, but we are going to do a game on Sunday over at twitch.tv/Scuba Studio for Shadow Watch. See what shenanigans ensue there. Next week, we'll be back to our regular, normal schedule, barring any unforeseen circumstances, alien abductions, that kind of thing. And
woo! Taken away, people.
Let's sail out of here. What do you say?
Come sail away with me.
Sailing away. Good night, everybody. Love each other, and we will see you on our next stream.
Peace.